To me, the Golden Witch Beatrice is sort of like one of the seven mysteries of the Ushiromiya family. You've heard of those, right? Almost all schools have a set of tall tales or ghost stories that get passed down. Like, on some days, the piano in the music room will start playing by itself, or the skeleton in the science room dances around at night. Everyone's heard of them. But, of course, that doesn't mean they believe in them. The stories about Beatrice were the same. It was just one of those strange tales about our way too big mansion. The servants would sometimes talk about seeing things or whatever during their night patrols. Sometimes I felt a bit annoyed about them turning my home into a place for ghost stories, but I didn't pay any more attention than that. That's how little it mattered to me. So during my normal everyday life, I would completely forget about the name Beatrice. Of course, when that huge portrait was first hung, I was definitely creeped out. Even I tried not to meet her eyes after dark. So yeah, I don't blame the servants for finding it eerie. But that only lasted for a short while. I mean, I walked by that portrait every day. I gradually got used to it, and eventually bored of it. It was just a portrait that grandfather blew a bunch of money on, showing the mistress from his delusions. I was past caring.
だろうな。年に何度も来ない親戚連中ならともかく。
そういうこと。だから、親族会議になると、親戚たちが必ず肖像画の前で、決まってベアトリーチェの話をする。だから、定期的に思い出させられるのさ。
ベアトリーチェ、また遊びに来たよ。また新しい魔法を書いたの。
See, it's creepier here because, like, we saw... That looks more like the Beatrice that's his daughter, not the mistress. Because, like, when we saw Beatrice, she wasn't dressed in those clothes. I mean, granted, she could have been dressed like that when they were, like, she was living in Odawara, but I don't know, it seems more like that portrait is of the daughter, which is, like, extra levels of creepy, because he sees her as the reincarnation of the mother. Ugh, anyway.
後で見てね。
マリアちゃんは本当にベアトリーチェが好きだな。おじい様が肖像画を掲げて以来、大喜びみたいだ。
あれ、エンジェは？
キリエおばさんと薬を飲みに戻ったよ。
Are we gonna get to see little baby Angie?
エンジェは本当に体が弱えな。
It's funny, Angie's turned into such, like, she's such a badass character, but she's like such a sickly little kid. I totally understand, like, I'm more of a sickly adult than a sickly child, but, like, that's me, like, not necessarily, like, physically sick, but I get, like, you know, anxiety, which manifests itself into, like, feeling sick, so, like, I get it.
バートラとは大違いだぜ。
緊張すると体調を崩すタイプなんだよ。
Angie and me, I swear. It's like the red hair, the, you know, stress sickness.
僕も昔は遠足の日や映画の日なんかに限って
Yep.
体調を崩したりしたもんさ。
Yep, I swear. It's so true. Yeah, it's like when I know the big thing for me is like traveling. When I know I'm about to travel, I will feel sick either like while traveling or the day of, or just like a big event that I know I can't miss will just like manifest itself into anxiety, which manifests into feeling sick. And that's, I guess, why she just straight up, like, she got really sick that on the you know, 1986, which was kind of worked out for her, though Angie would disagree. She probably wishes she had just died along with the rest of her family.
それに比べたら、マリアはタフだぜ。新島からこっちに来るまでの間、ずっとベアトリーチェの話三昧さ。ここしばらくずっとだけど、ちょっと行き過ぎだよな。
いいんじゃないかな。子供の想像遊びだよ。ジェシカちゃんは子供がサンタクロースに会ったことがあるって言い出したら嘘だって言っちゃうのかい？
まあ、そこまでは言わねえけどさ。
Erica absolutely would. Maria kept talking to the portrait as though it was an old friend. She promised to play with it later, as if she was talking to a living human. George, a man, seemed to think this behavior from a younger member of the opposite sex was cute. But to be perfectly frank, Jessica, who was the same sex as Maria, found this behavior a bit unpleasant, regardless of Maria's age. At one time, even I was fascinated by anime heroines and other fictional characters. However, Maria's behavior seemed to signify something more direct than mere fascination. It's something much more definitive, more vivid. Am I the only one who notices something odd about her? I'll bet the others notice too, but try to ignore it because of that adult dignity George Nissan is always talking about.
申し訳ないね、諸君。当主様は高尚な研究で大変お忙しい。昼は書斎で取られると仰せだ。
Until a second ago, Kinzo's children were complaining that eating lunch with their father would give them indigestion. But now that they knew he wasn't coming, they started grumbling about how he should at least spare the time to come down during the annual family conferences.
それでは皆様、ランチを始めさせていただきま
In
す。
a while since we've seen Goda.
遠方よりお集まりの皆様をおもてなしできるよう、この号だ。
Goda just like shut out from everybody. He doesn't know anything that's going on.
腕によりをかけてご用意させていただきました。
No one's stomach would fail to rumble after hearing that from the great chef Goda. By the time the splendid dishes were laid out, everyone had stopped talking about Kinzo's absence. It was now Angie's absence that was being discussed. Apparently her stomach ache had gotten so bad that neither she nor Kyrie could make it to lunch.
かわいそうに。ゴーダ、後でキリエさんに相談しておかゆのようなものを用意するように。
ああ、気を利かせてくれてありがとう。本当にすまねえな。どうも緊張に弱い子みたいでな。
幼いうちはそんなもんや。
And it's so sad knowing she can't handle stress, and then she went through like the most stressful thing in her life, which was losing her family and then having to live with her aunt, who like tortured her basically.
吐いたりしないだけ可愛いもんやで。
ジョージはよく吐いたわね。昔は本当に病弱だったのよ。ねえ。
昔の話は許してよ。食事時にする話じゃないよ。
エンジェかわいそう。こんな美味しいご飯なのに食べられない？
かわいそうにな。元気になったらその分いっぱい遊んであげようぜ。
ダメ。マリアとは遊べない。
She can't play with me. Oh, was this with the marriage associare? Was this after like she rejected her and said like witches aren't real and don't exist, and then Mari got really mad with her?
なんだよ。どうして？
だってマリアはベアトリーチェと遊ぶんだもん。だからエンジェとは遊べない。
I wonder if Jessica's gonna snap on her and be like, Beatrice is not real. Stop like ignoring your family members for someone that doesn't exist.
ベアトリーチェと遊ぶって、またどっかに一人で行ってぶつくさ独り言を言いながら本を読んでるだ
Wow,
けだろ。
Jessica's just straight up like, oof. Jessica slightly regretted she hadn't been more tactful. However, she couldn't wipe away that uncomfortable feeling she got every time Maria talked about Beatrice, and that feeling slipped out through her words.
一人じゃないよ。ベアとも一緒だもん。
Maria may have been young, but she already knew how to read a person's tone. She immediately burst out in anger, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. Normally, Rosa would have stopped her at this point. However, Rosa happened to have gone to the bathroom, so there was no one to calm Maria down.
ジェシカはかわいそうだね。毒素の塊だもの。ベアとはまだまだ魔力が弱いから、ジェシカの前になんか現れたら焼き散らされてしまう。でもね、いつかきっとジェシカの前にも現れてくれるよ。誰の前にも。そして黄金鏡の扉を開いてもらうの。でも招かれるかわからないね。だけどマリアだけは連れて行ってもらえるの、黄金鏡に。でもジェシカはダメだよ。ジェシカはダメ。ベアトリーチェのことをバカにする無知猛昧愚昧曖昧、愚かも極まれりの汚らしい毒素まみれの人間風情。
ベアトリーチェのことをバカにされた時のマリアと来たら、まるで別人さ。
I can't believe back, like, way back in the first chapter where I thought she was, like, legit. This little girl was being possessed by someone. Oh, how naive I was back then.
マリア二重人格説なんてのもあったな。
二重人格。 ああ、そいつは多分ぴったりな表現だろうな。
Now we're getting into like the, multiple personalities, or like, a person can, this is a thing that's been brought up a lot recently about like how a person can have like two sides to them, right? Like the duality.
あるいはそれがマリアにとっての理想の人格だったのかもしれない。
自分のなりたいもう一人の自分を生み出すの話か。
なんで私のモットーを知ってんだよ。
難しく考えるな。頭痛になら。
That was something Jessica had once told Canon. She had been talking about how anyone can create another self they can really grow to like. Interesting. I forgot about this. I mean, yeah, okay, second game. Of course I would forget about that. I think we heard those words somewhere near the beginning of the second game. Now that I think about it, some very interesting topics have been talked about since very early on. Like, he's basically like the reader at this point. He's just going over all the previous games and being like, alright, how does it all connect?
誰だって自分が本当になりたい自分があるんだ。でもなれない。生活やしがらみの中に今の自分がいるからこそ、今の自分を変えるなんてことできやしないんだ。
そうだな。自分を変えるとは環境も変えるということだ。それは容易なことじゃねえ。
だから私は今の自分はそのままに、本当になりたい自分をもう一人生み出すことを思いついたんだ。
両家のお嬢様であることを強いられ窒息しそうな日々に、お前はなりたい自分を見出した。
Is that Leon? Is Leon like the Jessica's like the other self, so she can be her own person? It was a piece created by Bernkastel, I'm assuming, but it seems like Jessica's talking about like another side of herself that like can be the rich daughter and can be the heir, but can also like she can go off and be her own person.
だからって家で破天荒はできないさ。母さんに怒鳴られるのがオチだぜ。
Oh, herself, I guess, between like when she's at school and she was in the band versus at home.
だからそうした。家にいるおとなしく親の言うことを聞く私に加え、本当になりたい私をもう一人生み出したんだ。
家ではおとなしく親の言うことを聞き、表ではやりたいようにやる。正しい生き様だ。胸を張れ。
ありがとう。まあつまりなりたい自分ってのはその気になりゃ案外作り出せるもんなんだよな。マリアも同じなんだろうと思った。
興奮してまくし立てるマリアもそうだというのか。
あれこそがマリアのなりたいマリアなんじゃないかなって、そう思うことがあるよ。
親族で一番の年少で可愛がられてはいるが、尊敬されているわけではない。
何を知っても覚えても、そんなのは親族の誰かが知ってる。マリアに威張れることは何もない。私たちはマリアが何かを覚えるたびに微笑ましく褒めてたつもりだけど、ひょっとしたらそれが彼女を傷つけていたのかもしれない。
マリアは何かの権威になりたかったということか。
It's something that all young boys and girls who want to shake off their childhood, I think. It's not a bad feeling when you learn something new and your parents praise you, but when you realize your parents already knew that thing, it sometimes feels like they're talking down to you. When a kid learns their one-digit timetables, their parents will probably praise them. However, inconsiderate parents will sometimes ask mean questions then, like, then what's 11 times 11? Or what is 16 times 16? Or something similar. If that happens, the kid will lose his feeling of accomplishment and start to feel as though he could never surpass his parents.
だからマリアが誰も知らないオカルトに関心を持ち、その知識を深めていったのは容易に想像できる。多分マリアにとっての理想の自分というのは、みんなに尊敬されるオカルトの権威の自分なんだ。
普段の生活でオカルトの話ばかりしていたらローザにぶたれるからな。お前がそうであるように普段はもう一人の自分を隠している。
私はこんな時のマリアをそうだと思ってる。いや、本当の自分が 普段の自分を塗りつぶしてしまったと言うべきかな。私もそういうのをちょっと覚えが。真相の霊場に憧れて病弱な自分になれたらいいなと思って。
Wait.
咳する真似ばっかしてたら悪い癖になって。
So the coughing is just that wasn't real because she had like asthma. So it started as like she was just doing that to get attention, and then like maybe she manifested herself into actually thinking that she was like sick, and it kind of became like a what's the word I'm thinking of? Like she manifested herself into a sickness where she would just cough without even realizing it. That is very interesting.
咳込めば周りが優しくしてくれるから
Oh shit, so those coughing fits she had weren't real. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, for some reason, like, I really wanted glasses because I liked the look of, like, glasses. So I pretended that I had a hard time, like, reading, like, the blackboard at school and stuff. And then my parents actually brought me in to get my eyes tested. And then, so then I had to, like, fess up that, no, I just wanted to wear glasses.
いや嫌な話の流れになった時とか空気悪い時とかに流
Oh
れを
shit.
断ち切れるし。
Well, that makes me want to go back now and like check and see all the times where she starts coughing if it's just a situation she just wants to like get out of.
なるほど。それもまたお前の。
この話は内緒で頼むぜ。
We're learning all sorts of stuff in this episode. Then just what is the other self in Maria's case? An authority on the occult who can out-argue even adults? Or else, someone who converses and mingles with witches? Either way, denying Beatrice in front of Maria is clearly taboo. In her search for something more than her everyday life, Maria had found it in Beatrice and inside herself. Then, is going to the Golden Land with Beatrice Maria's wish?
話が脱線したか。まあそんな感じでローザおばさんが戻ってくるまでマリアは癇癪を起こしちゃって。よせばいいのに私も売り言葉に買い言葉で返しちゃって。
ベアトリーチェなどいるわけないと。
そんなとこいるもんなら合わせてみろよって。マリアが大泣きしだした頃にはさすがに失言が過ぎたかと後悔もしたぜ。
それで
親族会議自体は私が一方的にマリアに対しマリアはケロリとしてたよ。一人でどこかに行ってまたベアトリーチェと一緒に遊んでたうんぬんと楽しそうに語ってたから、私を含め誰も頭ごなしに否定したりなんかしない。もうそういうものなんだと思って聞き流して無視してるってのが正解さ。
親族会議の話はそれで終わりなのか。
この話自体はね、私がしたいのはこれが終わって親族がみんな帰ってからの話さ。
Even after the conference ended, I still felt a bit uncomfortable. If Mari had just stayed mad, we'd have made up with each other, and I could have put it all behind me. But since Maria got over it, it felt like I was the only one unsatisfied.
おやお嬢様、どうなさいましたか？
ああ、熊沢さんか。いや別に大したことは。親族のみんなは無事に帰ったかな。
時間通りならもう新島の空港に着かれているでしょう。お嬢様もお疲れ様でございました。
私は何もしてねえぜ。使用人のみんなも本当にお疲れ様。
Wait, you've done your part well, so does this mean Jessica does know? This is something I wasn't sure if Jess knew about Kinzo being dead or not. But that implies that she's in on it, because Kumasawa said she did a good job.
昨日のマリア様との喧嘩をまだ気にしておられるのですか？
ああ、まあね。
子供の言うことではありませんか。お嬢様ももう高校生なのですから深く気にすることもないでしょうに。
熊沢さんはマリアのあれ、子供の言うただのザレ言だと思ってる？
ベアトリーチェ様のお話でございますか？
熊沢さんもベアトリーチェ様と来たもんだ。
Beatrice is the name of grandfather's mistress, the person he's still infatuated with. I realize that, as a servant, Kumasawa-san can't speak of her indiscreetly. Still, that's now become the name of the fictitious witch who lives in the mansion, and it's almost normal for people to call her Sama.
ベアトリーチェなんて私たちが森へ行かないよう大人がでっち上げた階段だぜ。それをいつの間にかマリアが面白がって本当にいるかのように振る舞い出しやがった。
そんなことを言っては罰が当たりますよ。ベアトリーチェ様はいるのですから。
だからさ、そういうのダメなんだよ、生理的に。ジョージ兄さんの話じゃねえけどさ、サンタなんかいるわけねえとまで騒ぎはしねえぜ。だからってサンタが本当にいるわけじゃねえ。
What if Santa just showed up here too?
それは間違いですよ、お嬢様。
間違い？
はい。万物八百万には神様が宿っておられる。
Kumasawa believes in Santa, confirmed.
同じようにこの島、このお屋敷にはベアトリーチェ様が宿っておられるのです。神様と同じくベアトリーチェ様も敬っていれば何も害はなしません。お嬢様の言うようにいないも同然でしょう。しかし敬いを忘れれば必ずや罰が当たります。これは何もベアトリーチェ様に限ったことではないのですよ。
罰が当たるなんて上等じゃねえか。会えるもんなら会ってみてえぜ。
お嬢様、そんな罰当たりではいけませんよ。
お嬢様。
本日はお疲れ様でございました。
Okay, well, Goda's not in on it, so I assume they're just saying that she was good at, I don't know, being a host of the family.
ベアトリーチェの話は知ってるよな。
まあ存じているといえば存じておりますが、それが何か。
The two looked at each other. They looked like a pair who just heard a clueless person suddenly utter a forbidden word.
ぶっちゃけ聞くぜ。いるの？そんなお化け。
いるかいないかと言われればそれはいないでしょうが、多分。
私はきっといらっしゃると思います。
どうしているって？会ったことあるの？
直接会ったことがあるわけじゃありませんけど、
Shannon talked in detail about how she would sometimes feel a strange presence, or see a silhouette while doing the midnight rounds. Jessica dismissed each example as it was given, saying Shannon must have seen it wrong or been mistaken.
ゴーダさんだって会ったことあるわけじゃないだろ？
もちろんですとも。しかし、まあ。
He was being very evasive. Even a man as big as Goda was apparently unable to deny the existence of someone he'd never met. This really didn't sit well with Jessica. She was herself a resident of this mansion. They were acting as though someone else, someone she didn't know, was living here. Of course, she didn't like it.
ちょっと待った。今の話をもう一度。
と言いますと？
貴賓室の話ですか？
Goda and Shannon had been recounting several ghost stories about Beatrice. One of those drew a reaction from Jessica.
そうそう。今の貴賓室の話、面白いぜ。
Goda and Shannon glanced at each other. They hadn't been trying to talk about anything cool.
貴賓室には午前2時に入ってはいけない。
You know that means Jessica's totally gonna go in at 2 in the morning.
午前2時にはベアトリーチェ様が貴賓室にお戻りになるので近づいてはいけないですか？
そうそう、それそれ。面白いぜ。どの話もベアトリーチェらしきものを見たの聞いたのって体験談ばっかだけど、その話は違うぜ。午前2時に貴賓室に行けばベアトリーチェ様にお会いできるってわけだ。
それはどうでしょう。
お嬢様、 ベアトリーチェ様を悪く言った使用人にはたたりがあると言われています。ましてや貴賓室はベアトリーチェ様のお部屋。
いくらお嬢様でもそれはおよしになられた方が。
貴賓室って今は鍵がかかってるんだっけ？鍵は？
鍵はキーボックスにあったでしょうか。
多分源氏様がご自分の席にしまわれていると思います。
マスターキーでも開くんでしょ？貸してよ。
そういうわけには参りません。
お嬢様、好んで不吉な場所に近づくことはありません。
おいおい、人の家を勝手に不吉にするんじゃねえぜ。とにかく私は決めた。マスターキーが貸せないなら貴賓室の鍵はあるでしょ？貸して。
お嬢様。
To Jessica, it was their two expressions that felt more like an ill omen than anything else did. It wasn't the witch or the VIP room that felt foreboding to Jessica. It was them, Mari and the others, who believed in witches. In the end, Jessica forced them to agree, and she made them bring her the key to the VIP room.
ベアトリーチェが本当に貴賓室に現れるかどうか肝試しをしたというわけか。
そんなとこだぜ。しかし私は何を意地になってたんだろうな。年派もいかないマリアとの喧嘩を引きずってたに違いない。
Of course, the weather just had to be terrible on that particular night. To be honest, I slightly regretted sticking my nose into something so pointless. But I'd already said so much, and even borrowed the key from them. I couldn't just go to Shannon the next day, let her ask me how it went, and answer, well, I got scared so I gave up, tee-hee. That'd be pathetic. Normally, I go to sleep long before 2 a.m. If Mom found me wandering the corridors at that time of night, she would definitely yell at me. So I waited in my room, staring at the hands of my clock as it ticked closer to 2 a.m. Outside, the rain was incredible, and the wind strong. The swaying, rustling trees were particularly creepy. I'd complained to Shannon and Goda about making up ghost stories for my house, but I was starting to feel as though they had a bit of a place after all. The Ushiromiya mansion is huge. Honestly, I can't think of the entire mansion as my own house. As Mom says, the hallways of the Ushiromiya mansion should be treated like public roads. In other words, my own room is part of my home, but the hallways and the rooms I don't usually enter are outside. So while part of me felt that this VIP ghost story was ridiculous, the other part of me was so creeped out that it kept trying to convince itself that the first part of me was right. 10 to 2. If I want to greet 2 a.m. inside the VIP room, I need to have already gone in there before then.
行くか。悪いが、私も意地だぜ。
Nothing is going to happen. I know that. It will just be a stupid waste of time for a few minutes. I touched the doorknob to the door of my room and was startled by how unpleasantly cold it was. As long as I stayed in this room, I could laugh off anything. After all, this was my room. But it wouldn't be like that in the hallway. That's outside my territory. And the doorknob, the barrier between the two, was ice cold. Idiots. What are you so scared of, me? You aren't taking Shannon's, Goda's, or maybe Kumasawa-san's gossip seriously, are you? I'll prove it. There's nothing strange in the VIP room. The corridor was only dimly lit. The hallways were brighter before lights out. But to avoid wasting energy or something like that, we kept the lights to a minimum at night. So even though I was inside my own house, it was very obviously the middle of the night here. If Mom found out I was wandering around at a time like this to do a test of courage in the VIP room, which I'm not supposed to go in, I would get in a lot of trouble. To make sure she didn't find out, I tried to hide my breathing and footsteps, so the silence felt unbelievably loud. Even though it was so quiet, the eerie sound of the wind was loud in my ears. The sound of twigs rustling, the sound of some pillar in this old mansion creaking. What's that sound like a beak tapping against glass? Though it was so quiet, All the little suspicious sounds felt obnoxiously loud. Maybe, like, the servants are going to try and scare her off by making noises, or maybe they're going to set something up to, like, scare her out of the room. Damn, I'm an idiot. Why couldn't I have brought a flashlight at least? A flashlight to use inside my own house? That's even more idiotic. I mumbled this to myself, hoping it would drown out the sound of the wind, just a little. Then I saw it, the door to the VIP room. The VIP room was supposedly reserved for important guests. However, as far as I knew, it had never been used. None of the guests who came to this mansion had ever been given the right to use this room. Though I'd been clutching the key all this time, it didn't feel warm at all. The icy metal tormented me ruthlessly. Maybe that was a warning. If you go back to your comfortable room and hide in your bed, this night will pass like any other.
バカにすんじゃねえぜ。ここまで来て今さら引き下がれるかってんだ。
The key had been freezing in my hand, urging me to turn back, but the keyhole made no further attempt to stop me. All that's left is to turn the knob, open the door, and I'll be inside the VIP room. It's not like I've never been in the VIP room. Long ago, when I would often play hide and seek or go exploring, this room that I rarely entered had seemed unusual and exciting. However, I got in trouble for going in and was told this room was important, so one mustn't enter without reason. After that, they made a rule of locking up unused rooms, and I couldn't go in anymore, except that just makes them more enticing. So it's probably been several years since I last went to the VIP room. In fact, it might be more than a decade. The inside of the room is probably different from how it was when I knew of it. Come to think of it, even then, I felt that there was something unsettling about this room. Slowly I pushed the door open. It was light, and even after I let go of it, it kept opening by itself, as though beckoning me in. Beyond it was a darkness as thick and heavy as ink. Even the dim light that seeped in from the corridor seemed bright in contrast. Swallowing hard, I stuck my head in, feeling about for the light switch next to the doorway. This was a horribly unnatural and awkward way to do it. All I really had to do was step inside and search for the switch from there. Unwilling to take even a single step inside the room, I timidly stuck just my arm in darkness and felt along the wall, and then something grabbed at her.
Atta.
Click. The switch, which had hardly ever been used, felt stiff and lifeless. However, once the light turned on, the darkness vanished in an instant. And there, exactly as it had been, as though not a thing had changed in all these years, was the VIP room. The curtain and bed cover might have been slightly different. Maybe the chairs and the like had changed too. Still, if I had to put it into words, I'd call it the feel. The stiff, lifeless feel of this room hadn't changed. If I hang around here, someone might find me. I'd rather not let Mom find me here. I readied myself, and though I hadn't been able to bring myself to enter this room with the lights out, I finally entered. As soon as I closed the door, I felt an oppressive, suffocating sensation. All right, I've shut myself in the VIP room. Come out, Beatrice.
今何分だ?
I looked around the room, but I couldn't see any clock. I'm not in the habit of wearing a watch around the house. Oh yeah, this is right. This was back in the 80s when people just didn't have cell phones on them and they couldn't just check the time. Damn. Now I'm not sure what time it is. Still, I know it's only a few minutes at most. I try to suppress my desire to use going to get a clock as an excuse to run away from this place. Even so, just standing around like this was boring. When I looked around again, searching for something to sit on, I found something strange.
なんだよこれ.
Oh, that's fucking creepy. That's a doll, right? Please let that be a doll. It had been placed on the side table next to the bed. If this room had been used often by someone, I'd have just thought it was just one of their personal belongings. But there was no one living in this room, so it was impossible for this to belong to the room's owner.
お供えかよ. 気持ち悪いぜ.
It did look like an offering. A small French doll was sitting on the side table. The doll's hair was gold. It was wearing a black dress. Just who managed to find this doll, and where? There's no doubt someone placed the doll here to symbolize Beatrice. Why do I have a feeling that that head is just gonna snap up and that doll's gonna be staring right at me? I will turn this game right off if that happens. Does that mean this doll is supposed to be the owner of this room or something? And as though it was an offering to that owner, there set a small plate with several cookies and wrapped chocolates. It was set out neatly, and there was no dust piled up on the doll. In other words, both the doll and offering were being taken care of on a regular basis by the servants, and kept in good condition along with the rest of the room. Taken care of? No, it was more than that. It looked like an offering. No, like some sort of worship. A prayer saying, please don't curse us. So while the doll was eerie enough by itself, psychologically, it was even more unnerving to think about how it must have been kept safe and worshipped in a place like this.
バカバカしいぜ。たたらないでくださいって。柏手でも撃つのかよ。
Jessica forced herself to look away from the bizarre doll. She couldn't bring herself to sit on a bed that wasn't hers. Then again, she didn't really feel like sitting down on a chair either. She had lost any desire to sit on anything in this room. Wandering about aimlessly, I peeked out the window through the gaps in the curtains to stare at the dark, rainy night. What the hell am I doing? Hanging about in the VIP room this late just because that fight with Maria is still eating at me. This is beyond stupid. I'm disappointed in myself. Beatrice, huh? Just when did that strange witch start living in this mansion? Grandfather's always yelling about Beatrice, since it's apparently the name of his dead mistress. People started talking about how her ghost must haunt this mansion. There's the kid's horror story about the witch in the forest, which might be a ghost story made up by the adults to stop the kids from going in there. The portrait grandfather had hung in April was really striking, and there was also that weird epitaph, the creepy words on that, which sounded like some sort of ritual with human sacrifices, made the name of Beatrice seem all the more unnerving. Yeah, when are we going to get into the epitaph? Like, at some point, we're going to get the answers, right? Like, what the epitaph means. I've long since given up on trying to solve it. At some point, those stories mixed together, and now they say that the witch Beatrice exists. I don't believe in Beatrice, because I know she's just a fictional person made up by the fusion of a few horror stories. The Beatrice, who was father's mistress, probably did exist, but she wasn't a witch. The story of the witch of the forest was made up by the adults to prevent their kids from getting lost in the woods, but that was just a made-up story, not reality. In fact, I've heard that kids were once threatened about wolves living in the forest. Apparently, the kids realized the wolves couldn't exist on the island, so it was changed to the witch. When the portrait was hung, that once vague character suddenly had a face, and people acted as though she'd been around since long ago. That's right, it's all a ghost story someone made, a fiction. And Maria calls Beatrice her best friend, and the servants worship her like a household shrine. I just don't get it, and it creeps me out. That's got to be one of the servants just doing that, just to, like, freak her out, because they know she's in there. The sudden ring of the phone made me jump so hard I thought my heart would explode. Because there's the internal phone line, right? There was a phone on the bedside table across from the one with the doll, and it was ringing noisily. However, I was only surprised by the first ring. By the time it had rung 3 times, I'd regained my cool enough to grumble about this being a prank done by someone trying to scare me. If I rush to pick it up, I'll probably hear someone laughing at me saying, "Were you scared?" I thought about ignoring it instead, but it kept on ringing incessantly. It's a pretty loud sound to have going on this late at night. It's probably going to be whoever is the Beatrice, whoever is, like, disguising themselves as her, like, speaking in her voice, in her cadence. If Mom somehow manages to hear it from her room, I'm screwed.
Hey, 取るぜ。取ってやるぜ。ああ、驚いたとでもいやいいんだろ。
I decided to pick up the receiver. I'll just say, that surprised me, wahaha. And maybe follow that up with, looks like Beatrice didn't show up after all. After all, this is my victory in a sense.
もしもし。
Oh, it's Maria.
Maria?
Wait. I imagine that this phone can only be called from inside the mansion, so how is Maria? Because she's left. I don't get it. Did I hear that wrong? Why would Maria be calling here?
もしもし。
この間は楽しいお歌を聴かせてくれてありがとう。だからお返しにマリアもベアトリーチェに歌うね。習った新しいお歌を歌うね。
The voice, the intonation, the manner of speech, all of it clearly belonged to Maria. But what is she talking about, all by herself? Maria just kept on talking happily as I stood there, stunned and unable to interrupt. Eventually, Maria started singing an old familiar kid song that even I knew. I don't get it.
マリア、もしもし。ちょっと待てよ。歌うのやめろよ。なんなんだよ。わけがわかんねえぜ。
Maybe this is just a recording.
もしもし。
The voice, the lights, everything disappeared. In the pitch black, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't tell what was happening. I don't get it. What's going on? Does being in the darkness really slow us humans down so much? I know it's dark, but I really do have absolutely no idea what just happened. What was that shuffling sound just now? I'm not sure. I can't explain it. It was a loud sound like someone crawling out of bed. I wouldn't say something as non-committal as I felt like I heard it. I wouldn't say something as vague as I sensed a presence. I definitely heard it, right next to me, clearly. However, there was no change to the bed. No one had been sleeping there in the first place, and the sheets were still perfectly straight. Someone had crawled out of the bed and had laughed in a creepy voice before leaving the room. If that doll is gone, like, if I was Jessica, I'd be like, get the fuck out. That's what it felt like. Felt like? I'm here, and the bed's right there. I'm not only in the same room, I'm right next to it. So why am I so unsure about what happened just a few seconds ago? I gripped the receiver, which had gone completely silent, and waited, there alone, unable to move, in a quiet room that seemed exactly identical to the one I'd first entered. Huh? What? If nothing had changed since the beginning, I could just pretend that the last minute or so didn't happen. Maybe the cookies and the candy are gone, the doll's gone. However, if something had changed, that would be proof that something really did happen. It is, the doll's gone, isn't it? Fuck. Did it fall to the floor? No, it's not there. No matter where I look, from whatever angle, it's not there. Though the offering plate with the cookies and chocolate's still here, the thing they were being offered to, the doll, is gone. Then, what just happened? Is the Beatrice-sama doll supposed to have cackled out loud and left the room? No, that crawling sound was too loud to have been made by a doll. It was a noisy sort of sound, like a kid playing with a blanket and using it as a cape. Then what? Is that Beatrice-sama doll supposed to have turned into a human and then run cackling from the room? Oh, the idea of like a little doll running around cackling in the dark? Ugh. After that, nothing happened. The doll alone disappeared, and nothing else changed. In a VIP room that had remained completely unchanged and was filled only with the sound of wind and rain, I stood there too shocked to move.
人形は結局見つかったのか。
物陰からベッドの下まで探したさ。それこそ中に入り込んでまで。でも見つからなかった。
一体あの部屋で何があったと考えてる。
ベアトリーチェ様のたたりなんて思いはしねえぜ。あるいは使用人の誰かのいた
I
ず
mean,
らだった
that's
か
the
もし
most
れない。
likely explanation, because they knew she was going in there and they want to scare her out of that room.
いたずら。
マリアの声はあらかじめ
Hey, she's thinking the same way I am.
カセットテープにでも撮ってあってそれを午前2時ちょうどに電話して再生ボタンを押した。そしてほどほどのところで配電盤か何かで停電させた。それからあらかじめ貴賓室のどこかに隠れてた誰かが気持ち悪く笑いながら人形を持って出て行った。そう考えりゃ辻褄は合うぜ。
釈然とはしてないようだな。
そりゃそうだろう。だってこれが私を脅かすためのいたずらだとしたら大掛かりが過ぎるぜ。
They made Maria sing beforehand and recorded it. Then someone called the VIP room and replayed the recording. Then someone waited until exactly the right time and tripped the breaker for the VIP room. To turn off the power to the VIP room, you'd have to go down to the basement. There's a breaker box down in the boiler room. There's no phone line down there, so you would need a different person to play back Maria's tape. And you'd need another person to hide in the VIP room and cackle before leaving. And just how long would this last person have to hide in the VIP room beforehand? How long would they have to hide in a pitch-black VIP room, under the bed for example, waiting to scare Jessica, who might or might not have come?
魔女のたたりなんてあるわけもねえぜ。でもよ、人間のいたずらだと考えて、それだけの人間が緻密に示し合わせて、私を驚かせるためだけに何時間も暗闇で待ち構えてたって考える方が、私はよっぽど薄気味悪いぜ。
Right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, the fact that people that work for you are that willing to do that and like coordinate like that, pretty creepy.
同感だな。いっそたたりの方がマシだ。そのことを後日使用人たちには聞いたのか？
聞いたってとぼけるに決まってるぜ。それに最低3人だぜ。あの日は源氏さんと郷田さんと熊沢さんとシャノンの4人が泊まってた。そのうちの3人があんな薄気味悪いいたずらに加担したってのか？わけわかんねえ。だから私は聞けなかった。
True, it had been a strange experience for her, but it wasn't something completely impossible for humans to do. Even so, it really must have been more unnerving to imagine a large number of people planning it so carefully just to scare Jessica. It's no surprise she found this scarier than Beatrice's curse.
今でも使用人たちがお前をはめたと信じてるか？
いや、多分ビビっちまった私の勘違いなんだよ。きっと人形はどこかに転げ落ちて、私がたまたまそれを見つけられなかっただけなんだ。
すべて気のせいだったと言いたいのか？
人形が消えた以外何の変化も証拠もない。マリアにも後日聞いたけど、歌のことも電話のことも知らないと言われた。とぼけたのか本当に知らないのかはわからないけれど、とにかくあの晩のあの出来事は私が確かにあったと言い張ってるだけで何も証明することができない。
皮肉だな。たとえお前が本当にベアトリーチェに会ったと言っても、それ
しばらくはショックだったけど、時間が経ってあれは臆病な私が落雷か何かで一瞬だけ停電したのにびっくりして、庭木の枝がちぎれてバサバサ落ちる音を誤解したんじゃないかなって思えるようになった。
笑い声は？
変な鳥の鳴き声とか。
I mean, the things that we come up with to just try and like ease our minds.
とにかくそう聞こえてしまう何かの聞き間違いだったかもしれねえ。私は強がってるだけで、本当は信じられないくらい臆病だったんだ。だからあんなことがあったように誤解してしまったんだ。そう考えるようにして、あの晩のことを忘れようと自分に強く言い聞かせた。
すべては闇の中か。
人間忘れようと思えば結構できるもんだよな。以来ベアトリーチェという言葉を聞くたびに嫌な気持ちがこみ上げる。でもそれを顔に出さないように努めてる。おしまい。私に話せるのはこの程度の話だけだぜ。情けない話だから誰にも内緒に。私がビビリだったって誰にも知られたくねえからな。
わかった。最後に一つだけ質問したい。
貴賓室のことで？
違う。食堂でのことだ。
食堂？
お前の階段の直前の親族会議の日、食堂には親族全員が揃ったな。
ああ、当時はまだバトラは戻ってなかったけど、それ以外は全員いたよ。もちろんじいさまは除くぜ。
演者は腹痛で空席だった。
Right, Angie. I'm so sad we didn't get to see little Angie. She was there and we didn't get to see her.
それはお前の隣の席だ。
And here's the thing about the seating again. He said the same thing with Maria, but that was only like the two of them visiting. So he's saying like something's off about the seating arrangement?
そうだぜ。
それはお前の右の席だったか。
There's something about that particular seat? Because yeah, he brought that up with Maria too.
そうだぜ。右の席だよ。それが何か？あれ？
Wait, what?
おかしいな。どうして右？
十分だ。
I'm so confused. I know there's the whole thing about the seating is based on like your status. So like Angie wasn't supposed to be sitting there? Oh, right, because Jessica's like, yeah, because Angie would be, she would be down. I feel like she'd be further down, right? And yet she's next to the second child of Kraus and Natsui. Like, I know Jessica's not the heir, but still. Is that what he's implying?
無理に考えるな。頭痛になら。
どうしたんだい、ジェシカ。
That's just something about this game that could apply to him. Is just what he says is like, try not to think about it too much. You'll get a headache if you think about it.
何を悩んでるんだい？
いや、その。
So this is like,
右
get,
左
like implanting false memories?
おかしなジェシカ。どうビル？ジョージ兄さんやジェシカに何か聞けました？
I guess we'll be talking to George next.
まずまずだ。ベアトリーチェの階段はなかなか面白かった。
階段？どんな話ですか？
午前2時の貴賓室にベアトリーチェの亡霊が現れるという話だ。なかなかおっかない話だったぞ。
初耳です。誰が言い出した話か知りませんけど、仮にも当主様の恩人を階段にしてしまうなんて失礼な話ですね。
模範解答だな。うん。
何か？
リオンは碑文はわかるか？
Oh, the epitaph. Are we gonna get into this now?
碑文？何の話です？
Wait, what?
ベアトリーチェの肖像画のところにある例の碑文だ。
すみません。何のことかさっぱり。
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の川。
何ですか？それは。
お前の、いや、この世界には肖像画はあるのに。
But then Jessica talked about the epitaph.
玄関ホールに掲げられてるベアトリーチェの大きな肖像画は私だってもちろん知っています。しかし、
So,
碑文の
like
話はわ
Jessica,
かりません。
she kept her memories from like the previous world, but Leon, because they're in this world, they don't know. Wait, I'm so confused.
何の話です？
面白い違いだ。リオンはずっと六軒島で暮らしてきたな。
無論です。それが何か？
子供の頃、森には近づくなと脅されてたはずだ。
ええ。迷子になって危ないから決して近づくなと昔から。
森には魔女が出ると？
魔女？何の話です？
So now there's no witch story at all, but Jessica told that story.
黄金の魔女にして六軒島の夜の支配者ベアトリーチェ。
ベアトリーチェはおじい様の恩人です。それを魔女だか妖怪だかのように扱うのは少々失礼かと思いますが。
I guess maybe they're implying Bernkastel's implying with this one because trying to get past all of this stuff is like in this world, the witch stories, the ghost stories don't exist. Beatrice is just a woman. Get rid of all that supernatural stuff and just think about it in terms of that.
魔女のベアトリーチェは知らないと。
黄金と共に潜水艦でやってきたベアトリーチェと隠し屋敷で育ったその娘の話は知っていますよ。あなたと一緒にさっき知ったではありませんか。それがいつ魔女になったんです？
なるほど、そうきたか。では森に入ると何が出ると脅された？
森には狼が住んでるから近寄るなと。
魔女でなく狼か。なるほどな、面白い。
私は面白くありません。何の話です？魔女って何のことですか？
こっちの話だ。最後にもう一つ聞きて。
どうぞ。
親族会議の食堂で
Okay.
お前の右には誰が座ってる？
私の向かいは妹のジェシカ。その次の序列はエヴァおばさんの息子になります。だからジョージ兄さんですけれど。それが何か？
なるほどな。紛らわしく入り混じってやがる。だが
Are we gonna get... Can we talk to Angie? It'd be nice if we could talk to Angie. It's interesting that Angie doesn't exist in this amalgamation of stuff.
私には全然さっぱりですが。
Maybe Angie's the clue to figuring this out. Because she's the only one who's lived, like, in the future. I hope we do get to talk to Angie at some point. Oh my god, here's the culprit. I mean, that seems a little bit too straightforward. There's no way.
分かったんですか？ベアトリーチェを誰が殺したのか。
ああ、
What?
大
Okay.
体な。
Alright.
まさか当主様が殺したなどとおっしゃるつもりはないでしょうね。
ベルン・カステルが求めてるのは金蔵と関わった2人のベアトリーチェじゃない。1986年のベアトリーチェを誰が殺したかだ。
その今年のベアトリーチェという意味が分かりません。魔女のベアトリーチェとは何の話なんです？さっきの話といい、碑文とやらの話といい、そろそろ教えてくれませんか？
いいだろ
Alright, are we gonna get a full-on explanation?
う。もったいぶる。
Oh,
まずはじめに
sorry, I didn't mean to skip that. My finger slipped.
魔女のベアトリーチェとは何のことです？
厳密には人ではない。黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェという名の概念だ。
階段そのものだと。
さらに厳密には階段さえも概念を生み出す一要素に過ぎない。
話がさっぱりです。
階段は本来三人称や二人称で語るべきものだ。それを一人称で語り出したやつがいる。
自分がベアトリーチェだと誰かが自称し始めた。
So is Will straight up gonna say who that person is? Like, are we gonna get that answer right now so early on? This feels a little too good to be true.
六軒島の悪霊伝説や子供を森に近づけないための作り話が金蔵が繰り返すベアトリーチェベアトリーチェの嘆きで修飾されて魔女伝説を醸成していった。その架空の魔女に憧れて会いたいと懇願したのが後宮マリアだ。それに答えたやつがいる。
さっぱりな話ですが腰を折らずに相槌を打ちましょう。答えたとはどういう意味です？
Did this all just come about with someone wanting to make Maria happy and then devolved into murder?
後宮マリアは気の毒な生い立ちによりオカルトに執着するようになった。その彼女に同情したやつがベアトリーチェに扮してマリアと遊んでやったということだ。
So Beatrice, so that was initially seemed to be made out of like creative goodwill, but then like something twisted them into wanting to murder, I guess. Maria tends to recognize people by their behavior instead of their physical appearance. When Rosa became violent, Maria calls her the Black Witch, and at these times, Maria views her as a different person, not her mother. So, this means she tends to think of the same person as different people depending on their behavior. We can use this to see the scene where Maria first met Beatrice in a new light. After being chased out of the mansion by the adults, Maria decided to drink some tea in the rose garden. At that time, someone probably started talking to Maria. Then, when they heard this occult-loving girl talking happily about how she wanted to meet the witch Beatrice, this person acted as though Beatrice was possessing them. On the outside, they didn't look like Beatrice. So all the times that we saw Maria talking to Beatrice, it might not have even been like, I assume like, oh, it's someone dressed up, put on a wig or whatever to look like that, but that was just like, from her point of view, that person suddenly looked like the Beato from the portrait. That seems more likely, because I'm like, the idea of someone like walking around, running around dressed up in this very elaborate costume seems a little outlandish. However, when their manner of speech and behavior changed abruptly, Maria would recognize them as a different person. That's why her appearance was so sudden. Ah, it's all coming together.
マリアにとっての魔女やオカルトはある種の現実逃避と見ていい。彼女は満たされない現状が魔女の力で打ち破られると信じていたんだ。だから魔女の存在を信じたかった。それを信じれば自分が幸せになれると信じられるから。
確かにマリアちゃんはローザおばさん一人が育ててますし、ローザおばさんも仕事で多忙。確かに少し気の毒なことは思いますが。
心をないがしろにするんじゃねえ。だからマリアは信じるために信じた。ベアトリーチェが見せた手品まがいも心の底から信じたんだ。それは彼女の心を大いに慰めただろう。そしてここに魔女ベアトリーチェが誕生したんだ。
魔女に会いたいと願うマリアちゃんのために誰かが魔女ごっこに付き合ったと。
そうだ。
So yeah, it seems like Beatrice was born out of love, but then got twisted somehow. This marks the birth of Beato the Elder. All of that about living 1,000 years and being bound to Rokunjima. That was all a result of mixing the legend of Rokunjima's evil spirits with the story of a ghost wandering the mansion at night. As Furuto Erica guessed, the two ghost stories fused. Someone fused the two stories together and acted the part. So Beatrice held traits from both ghost stories. She was the master of the mansion's night and also feared spiderwebs.
ではつまりベルンカステルの問うベアトリーチェを殺したのは誰かというのはそのベアトリーチェを演じた
Okay. Alright, so yes, it's like who killed... Probably Badler. And that's why the Beato is so, like, hell-bent on getting Badler to see his sins.
似てて少し異なる。演じたんじゃない。異なる二人なんだ。
Okay, two different people.
マリアにとって黒い魔女と母は別人物であるように、マリアにとってベアトリーチェとそれを演じた人間も別人物になるんだ。
It's just like marriage socia. That was where one person would be the creator, and the other person would acknowledge those creations, thereby nurturing the illusion. The Golden Witch Beatrice was also created by one person, and then nurtured when Maria acknowledged her.
つまり演じた役を殺してもそれは演じた心優しい誰かを殺したことにはならないと。
よりしろが失われただけではベアトリーチェが殺されたことにはならないってことだ。電話で例えると分かりやすい。俺とお前が電話で話しているとする。その時俺にとって電話は話しかける対象でありお前そのものだ。しかしもし電話を壊したなら。
なるほど。電話を殺せば私と話すことはできなくなりますが、しかしそれは私を殺したことにはならない。
マリアは初期のベアトリーチェに自分に憑依してもいいと言った。それは明白に初期のベアトリーチェが肖像画の姿を模していなかったことを示す。
演じた魔女役と演じた人物は別人という考え方で演じた魔女役のみを殺す。そんなことができるんですか。
演じた本人にしか殺せない。すなわちベアトリーチェを殺したやつとはベアトリーチェを演じたやつと同義だ。
マリアちゃんと魔女ごっこをした相手がベルンカステルの犯人だということなんですか。
I see. So that okay. So something happened to cause the person to kill Beatrice the character.
そうなる。しかしややこしいことにこの礼拝堂は今猫箱の内側の世界だ。その犯人という名の猫は生きた猫と死んだ猫の
And now we're bringing back the whole cat box thing.
本 当にややこしい。
I like that Will even acknowledges that this is confusing and he knows everything.
さっぱりですが、先を促しましょう。
I can only imagine how confused Leon must be not even knowing about these ghost stories before Will told her about them. Or them about it.
つまり犯人は2人いるとおっしゃりたいのね。
そうだ。ベアトリーチェを生み殺すことができる人間と、そもそもベアトリーチェなど生ませもしない概念ごと殺すことができる人間、その2人がここにいるってことだ。
Okay, just when I felt like I was starting to understand it, now yeah, he's throwing this at me and now I'm confused all over again.
ではお尋ねしましょう。ベアトリーチェ殺人事件、その2人の犯人は誰です？
まず最初の1人、死んだ猫。
The dead cat, okay.
誰です？
お前だ。
You, okay.
はあ？
非常に単純な推理だ。お前の存在する世界にだけ
Okay.
魔女ベアトリーチェが存在しない。
意味がわかりません。
マリアもジェシカも魔女ベアトリーチェとの話を聞かせてくれた。しかし彼女らの親族会議
And that's why this is brought up here.
お前が
Of
含ま
course,
れていない。
yeah, because Leon didn't exist in their world.
私が含まれていない？
マリアはローザと共に六軒島を訪れた。そして隣の席にはローザがいた。ありえない。
I feel dumb now that I didn't catch on to that. That's because Leon is the head. They should have been sitting at that
お
spot.
前がいるならばローザの次の序列はリオンになり、そしてジェシカになり、次がマリアになるはず。
There should be two people between Rosa and Maria in rank. In that case, they should be across the table from each other and separated by one seat. In other words, in the world where Leon exists, it's impossible for Maria to be sitting next to Rosa.
ジェシカの話も同じだ。お前が序列に加わっているなら、金蔵の席を正面に。
And that's why Jessica's having like that existential crisis. She's like, but my sibling should be, you know, we should be sitting there.
そして差列に乗じ、右列にエンジェとなる。
Like Jessica has to acknowledge, like, okay, well, Leon, I see Leon exists, but in my memories, Leon didn't exist.
ジェシカとエンジェはリオンがいてもいなくても隣り合う。しかしリオンがいるかいないかでその席が右になるか左になるかが異なる。
In the world where Leon exists, Angie's seat is on Jessica's left. However, if Leon doesn't exist, then Angie's seat is on Jessica's right.
1986年の魔女ベアトリーチェを語る人間は皆お前のいない世界を語っている。そしてお前の世界では魔女の階段が存在しない。お前にとってベアトリーチェは金蔵の愛人もしくは恩人であって化けて出る亡霊ではない。
当主様はベアトリーチェと深い愛情を育まれたのでしょう。どうして化けて出て階段になるのかさっぱりわかりません。
そういうことだ。お前が存在すると魔女ベアトリーチェが存在しない。
Okay.
お前の存在はベアトリーチェを殺してる。
私がベアトリーチェ殺しの犯人だと？これはおかしな話になったものです。会ったことはおろか話もよくわからないのに犯人だなんて。
裏を返せばお前が存在しなければベアトリーチェが生まれるということだ。
裏を返せば
Flip the chessboard.
私とベアトリーチェがコインの裏表とでもおっしゃるので。
いい例えだ。その通り。お前というコインの裏側がベアトリーチェなんだ。
何のことやらさっぱりです。
Same, Leon, same.
俺もお前の存在がさっぱりだった。
It's probably super obvious, and I'm just dumb and not understanding the you know, implications here.
だがいろいろと話を聞いていくうちにお前の存在について一つの仮説が立った。
Please let us know, Will. I would like to hear this.
それはお前が19歳だという点だ。
19 years old. The baby. The baby. Oh shit. Okay. I am like invested in this. All right, let's hear this, Will.
あなたに年齢を明かした覚えはなかったのですが。
So it's a whole thing. So if Leon exists in the world, then Beatrice doesn't. So Beatrice is the child from 19 years ago that Rosa threw off the cliff. Oh shit. So the baby... Okay. I feel like it's like it's on the tip of my tongue here, like it's just the forefront of my brain.
どうして？
ジェシカはお前のことを入学した時にはもう副会長で、その翌年には生徒会長になったと言った。これはお前の年齢がジェシカより一つ上であることを示す。
Jessica is 18 years old, so Leon must be 19.
なるほど。それで私が19歳だと何の仮説が立つというんです？
お前が後宮夏日の子ではない
okay.
という仮説だ。
That's right, you're the baby that Kinzo gave to Natsui. What?
失敬な。何の気まぐれかは存じませんが、私だけでなく母も侮辱する発言には撤回を求めねばなりません。
Okay, so in this world, that baby, maybe Natsui doesn't kill the baby, takes care of it, and it grows up to be Leon. But in the 1986 world, Natsui throws the baby, it survives, and comes back as Beatrice?
なぜ次期当主はクラウスではなくお前なのか。
And this is the whole thing about like... Oh, wait a minute.
私が成人するから受け継がれるのです。私にも子が生まれたら、成人した時にそれを譲るべきでしょう。
Oh no. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, so why did Kinzo have like this... Okay, so assuming that this baby is from 19 years ago, and Kinzo is like, you know, has such a fondness for this baby, or the child, you know, like that Leon is the one to, yeah, take the headship instead of Kraus. So, and, okay, hold. So is that implying that this baby, because Kinzo just gave Natsuya this random baby, is that implying also, okay, so let me see. So, the chick Beato, she died in the 60s. I think I made this, like, in my other previous video, once we learned this whole thing about Rosa. Like, 19 years ago, that baby would be 19. Is that implied that Kinzo had a baby with his daughter? Oh no. Oh, it got so much worse if that's the case. Because, yeah, where did this random baby came from? I think that's what happened. I think he had, like, this shame incest baby with his daughter, didn't know what to do with it, gave the baby to Natsu because he wanted to keep the baby close by, but didn't want anyone to know where this baby came from. Holy shit. That's why, oh my god, that's why Kinzo has, like, such a, like, love for this baby, for, like, Leon, or what Leon represents, which is the baby from 19 years ago, assuming that they grew up. And, oh god.
当主様の話を聞かれたでしょ。当主様は後宮家の老快な親族たちに振り回され、辛い思いをされました。
Because obviously Kinzo has like a love, a gross love for Beatrice, the daughter Beatrice, and not really any love for his other kids. So of course, like, if this baby, which maybe he sees as another reincarnation of Beatrice, because like the daughter died.
だからこれからの当主は若者が受け継ぐべきだと思い。
お前のいない世界では次期当主を証明する銀の指輪さえ存在しない。お前が指にしているその銀の指輪は、
Oh my god.
金蔵が
Oh
お
my
前
god.
に当主を継承したいという。
I might be right.
他の世界にはない強い意志の証明だ。
Because we don't know what happened to that baby, like in the world we've always seen. The baby just apparently died, but maybe it didn't.
確かに
Because
そ
I
の
mean,
点は否定できません。
why would that person claim to be the baby from 19 years ago?
当主様は私を特に可愛がられておいでで、
Yep. Yep. Just like he adored his other child.
私が幼い頃から成人したらすぐに当主を継承させる。その日に備え学業を怠るなと厳しく言われてきました。しかしお父様にその資質がないとは思いません。
Oh, Leon, your whole world is about to come crashing down, I think.
なぜお父様を
Once
早
you
々に
realize
飛び
that
越して
you are actually,
私が次期当主なのか。
you are both the granddaughter, you're his granddaughter and his daughter, right? Is that how it works?
不思議に思ったことはありますが、ずっとそうだったので、その疑問を口に出したことはありませんでした。
なぜ金蔵はクラウスよりお前に強く当主を引き継がせたかったか。
Please, Will, say it out loud. I want to know, please, please. I do and I don't, because it's gross if I'm right, but I also want to know if I'm right.
わかるわけもありません。また、心をないがしろにするんじゃないとおっしゃるので、当主様のお心から何が推理できるとおっしゃるんですか？
お前がベアトリーチェと金蔵の
I just scared my
子
dog.
供だからだ。
I slammed the table. I just slammed the table and scared my dog. Holy shit. The ant, like, I love that we're getting, like, actual answers in this episode. This is fantastic. And also very disturbing.
お見事。
There was a crisp applause and a mocking laugh. You know, whenever the music or the sound effects just stop, you know, like some, like, truth bomb is just going to be dropped.
ベルンカステルか。
That was the whole point of Leon, was to, I guess, like, does Leon just disappear now that, like, that revelation has been, well, revealed?
もう少し思考を遊ばせてくれると思ったら。
Okay, so wow. All right, so that baby. So yes, I imagine that if that baby existed and grew up and maybe learned about their heritage, learns who their parents are, that might fuck them up a little bit. And maybe they would go a little mad. Horncastle appeared, sitting on the altar, almost as though it had become her own personal chair.
いつリオンがベアトリーチェの血を引くと。
19歳という年齢に気づいた時だ。第5のゲームの時に登場したヒント。19年前の赤ん坊と数字が合致する。
その赤ん坊は崖から落ちたの。
Alright, now let's get into this.
夏日に受け入れられ、
Okay.
崖から落ちなかった19年前の赤ん坊がリオンだ。
So if Natsui didn't throw that baby off the cliff, that baby could have had a good life.
裏を返せば、夏日に拒絶されれば、リオンは存在しない。
私が母さんの子じゃない。バカな。
Did you just, Leon, did you just paint over like what he just said about Kinzo and Beatrice? Because we know that the OG Beatrice died during birth. So you are an incest baby. Yeah, I think that realization just hit them.
そう言いつつも心当たりはあるみたい。そうよ。後宮リオンは夏日の子じゃないわ。19年前に金蔵がどこかより連れてきた赤ん坊の成長した姿よ。
どこか明白にベアトリーチェの血を引いている。その証拠があまたの世界でリオンにしか与えられない銀の指輪だ。
この指輪があると、どうして私がベアトリーチェの血を引くと？
あまたの世界でお前にしか与えられない。それは全ての世界の中で金蔵にとってお前はベアトリーチェの次に最も重要な人間であることを示している。そしてそれは実の息子のクラウスや孫のジェシカをはるかに超えている。そしてさらに、すなわち 19年前に何があったか
He's
を
like, come on, Leon, keep up here.
19年前、私が生まれた時に何があったと言うんですか？
あなたも聞いたはずよ。それも今日ウィルと一緒にね。
まさかローザおばさんの話だというのですか？
そうだ。第3のゲームでローザの話が出て、第5のゲームでの赤ん坊の年齢が時間軸で一致した時、一つの推理が生まれた。あの金蔵がどこからともなく赤ん坊を連れてきて自分の血族に加えろというのは、その赤ん坊が特別な存在であることの証拠だ。
私がクワドリアンのベアトリーチェの
Yes.
子供。
クワドリアンのベアトリーチェは潜水艦で来たベアトリーチェの娘だ。
Oh god, and it was that whole thing about like what like Kumasawa must have known, right? Kumasawa was the one who brought the baby to Natsui. So and then like Kumasawa just said it so, I don't know, blasé, just like, oh, sometimes Kinzo's love for his daughter became a little corrupted. Just said it like it was nothing. So she knew that baby was like an incest baby. And she just like, she's got to act like it's all cool. It's all like copacetic.
しかし金蔵は娘と思わなかった。生き写しの生まれ変わりと信じた。その生まれ変わりがかつての年齢にまで成長し、まさに生き写しとなった時、金蔵は過ちを犯したんだ。
It was not, dude. Mistake? A little bit more than a mistake.
聞きたくありません。
そういうこと。金蔵はベアトリーチェにベアトリーチェを産ませ、さらにそのベアトリーチェにあんたを産ませたの。あんたは金蔵の子であると同時にベアトリーチェの孫ということね。
これが金蔵の心から考える、金蔵がお前を誰よりも特別に扱う理由の金蔵は過ちを悔い、お前を今度こそ子孫として後宮家に正しい形で迎え入れようとしたんだ。
夏日はほとんどの場合プライドをひどく傷つけられ、リオンの育児を拒否するわ。その結果あんたは必然として崖から落ちて消える。
結婚後ようやく授かった子供が私で、年子で生まれたのがジェシカだと聞かされてきました。
もしお前が今日まで自分が夏日の子であることに疑問を感じたことがないのなら、お前はこの世界の母に感謝すべきだ。お前にそれを悟らせずに今日までジェシカと平等に愛情を注いだ。
感謝の必要はないわ。だってあんたというかけらを見つけるのに気が遠くなるほどの苦労をしたもの。夏日は数学的確率で見て257万8917分の257万8916の確率で
Wow.
あんたの育児を拒否するわ。
So only one in every like 2.6 million fragments will she raise the baby.
あんたが感謝すべきは奇跡を紡いだ私であって夏日ではないわね、多分。
くだらねえ確率遊びはやめろ。
あら、ごめんなさい。
お前が誰の血を引こうと育ててくれた家族への恩が変わるわけじゃない。
それは分かってます。ですが少し心を落ち着ける時間が欲しいです。私の心をないがしろにしないでくれるなら。
そうだな。
Leon took a deep breath and looked upwards. Anyone would be shocked to find out their parents weren't who they believed them to be. But all the same, Leon, you're allowed to feel grateful. Grateful to the family who raised you and met your every need.
面白いもんだ。黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェに何百万分の1かの確率で こんな平凡な人生を送れる可能性があったなんてな。
でしょ。
So yeah, Leon is like in the perfect world where everything went normal, went on to have a good life, and then almost every other world is thrown from a cliff. I survived, I assume, somehow. Probably learns the truth about what happened, went insane, and then kills everybody.
こういう時私はとても笑えると思うのよ。
Will had said it plainly. Ushurmia Leon is how the Golden Witch Beatrice appears in a different world. The baby not to be rejected 19 years previous. If she accepts that child, this is the future that results. However, if she does not accept it, a witch is born. The baby whose birth was not celebrated becomes a witch.
死んだ猫はリオンだ。だがリオンの存在自体はお前が関心を持っている六軒島連続殺人事件とは何の関係もない。つまり猫箱を開ければ消える猫がリオンだ。
そういうことよ。リオンなど所詮は消える猫。でも余興にしては面白かったでしょ。
I thought they're looking right at me. They're like, you don't care about the perfect world where everything's normal. Reader, you want to know what happened at the murders, because that's more interesting.
面白いのはお前だけだ。ここに閉じ込められてなけりゃ俺もこんな推理はわざわざしない。
どうして私がおかしな探偵ごっこの相棒に選ばれたのか分かりました。どうやらベルーンカステルという魔女は人の運命をもてあそんだり、あるいは嘲笑ったりするのがお好きな方らしい。
あらすごい。会ってその日に私を理解する人なんて珍しいわ。
私はどうやら異なる世界では魔女と呼ばれる存在になるらしい。そしてどうやら何かの事件を引き起こすらしい。それは私の罪なのですか？
罪のわけね。お前はお前だ。コインが裏を向いていた時のことなんて知ったことじゃねえ。
This was brought up in the last episode too, with Angie and Featherin were talking about how the way someone is raised can basically make a person be completely different. Talk about foreshadowing.
ありがとう。しかし異なる運命の世界ではお前は何らかの迷惑をかけていたと言われて心穏やかになる人間はいないと思います。教えてください。私は異なる世界で何を。
ベルンカステル。
かけらを
All
その
right,
子に見せたら。
here we go. Will opened his hand, and something that looked like a pale blue, glowing shard of crystal appeared there. It contained the memories, no, the records of all the games so far.
こいつに触れろ。
Oh shit, are we gonna go back? Are we gonna like... Is this our way of going back and kind of like getting a synopsis, a cliff notes of everything that's happened so far and try and connect all the fragments together like we did at the end of Higurashi? Where it's like you had to just try and like everything that led up to the events.
異なる世界でのお前の運命が見える。
触れない方が幸せだとでも言いたそうな顔ですね。
当然だ。予感しているだろうがろくな話じゃない。
それでもそれは異なる世界とはいえ私のことなのですね。
お前には知る権利も知らぬ権利もどちらもある。お前があくまで自分と連なりつつも異なる誰か他人のことと割り切れるなら触れてみるといい。
知りたいわよね。自分があるいはひょっとしたら辿ったかもしれない運命なんて。
相棒として聞きます。あなたはそれを私に見せたいですか？
相棒としてなら見ろという。しかし友人としてなら見るなという。
残念。私は友人ではありませんので。
俺も 相棒として一つ聞きたい。
何です？
お前、男か？
All right, all right. This has been the thing here. It's just like, yeah, Will must have noticed that nobody has directly said Leon's gender. Okay there, Professor Oak. Are you a boy or a girl? Let's see. Let's see.
唐突なことを聞きますね。
男と思えば線の細い男にも見える。しかし女と思えば気丈に振る舞う女にも見える。
So I want to know, you guys, when you first played this, which side did you lean on? Did you think boy or did you think girl? Obviously, you knew what I thought. I was calling Leon her throughout the first episode. And people also let me know, interesting little tidbit is that the voice actor for Leon is also the voice actor for Saber in Fate Zero, and actually kind of looks like Saber. And there's that whole thing too about like a woman who is kind of like dressed kind of like androgynously, kind of dressed more masculine. I'm sure that wasn't a coincidence.
ジェシカにはお前を兄とも姉とも呼ばせず、
Yeah.
次期当主様と抽象的な呼び方をさせ続けていた。
本当に勘のいい男。
よく性別を聞かれます。だから悔しくてこう言い返してます。どっちに見えますか？
Oh, Leon's just being intentionally like vague about it, eh?
第5のゲームではお前は男ということになっている。しかしあまたのゲームでは女だと考えられてる。後宮バトラがマスターを務めた第6のゲームで
Oh, okay. I didn't even make that
性別を互
connection
いつつも
about
確定しない二人組の悪魔が登場し、
It's funny, this seems to be a repeating theme in games that I've been playing lately about you know, like the gender of a person and the two different sides of a person and what they are and how they feel they are.
いや、厳密には一番最初のゲームからだな。お前の性別はゲームの外側の隠れた謎の一つだ。
素直に答えるのも悔しいのでお答えはしないことにします。
Of course you won't.
私はあなたの相棒でしょ。気に入らない性別だったら何か不都合なことでもあるのですか？
その通りだ。俺には相棒の性別などどうでもいい。
ありがとう。容姿にコンプレックスがあったのであなたの言葉が嬉しいです。
俺は男女平等主義だ。使えねえやつは平等に殴る。
Wow.
私もマナーのない方は男女平等につねりますので。
Slowly, Leon reached out and touched the fragment. A moment later, Leon seemed to undergo a violent bout of dizziness and silently slumped over like a puppet with its strings cut. It was no surprise. When people who don't understand parallel universes have many different fates jammed into their heads, they tend to feel like their heads are swelling and their sense of self is melting away. Leon seemed to have lost consciousness.
こいつには全てを知る資格があったというわけだ。
So, I wonder if that's also a relation to, like Shannon and Canon as well. Like they seem to be kind of two sides of the same coin, similar names, both different genders. But then again, there's that whole thing at the beginning about like the maid can't be the or something like that. Like the maid can't be the culprit or something. So that kind of like puts everything. Like, I feel like I'm back at square one here, but that seems like it's a pretty, like, the gender thing, that seems like that's going to be a pretty big key to figuring out this whole thing.
あなたの相棒にぴったりの駒だったでしょ?
Because, I mean, if we assume that that person, that baby, you know, who doesn't become Leon in all of the other fragments, is the culprit, and then there's that whole thing about, like, Badler and Beatrice said, that there's only 17 people on the island, including Erica, I think? So there's no, like, person X or whatever it was. Like, there's no person hiding in the shadows that could be the culprit. So it's so confusing.
推理を続ける。死んだ猫の話はした。
そうね。次は生きた猫の話だわ。
1986年のベアトリー
The
チェ
one
を
who
殺
created
せる
her.
のは
Are they
そ
straight
れ
up
を
gonna
生
say?
み出したやつだけだ。
Like, is Will straight up gonna say who the killer is?
ヒントは山ほどあったわ。思えばベアトリーチェのゲームだった頃からね。
そうだな。ベアトリーチェとバトラの第4のゲームでその因縁ははっきりとした。そしてその時点でベアトリーチェが誰であるか、そしてその心が分かった。
心とは？
動機だ。
Yeah, because all Bernkastel cares about is the who, not the why. And Will is like, Badler, he cares, like he says, he keeps saying, don't forget the heart.
ベアトリーチェが1986年10月5日に自らの運命さえとすゲームのような事件を起こさねばならなかった動機だ。
Alright, let's get into this. I've been saying it's gotta be more than just whatever sin Badler feels like he imposed or like he committed against Beatrice. That just feels like not enough to commit mass murder. There's gotta be something else.
さすがだわ。第4のゲームの時点でフーダニットとホワイダニットが推理できてたなんて。じゃあハウダニットは？
犯人が誰であるか分かればそれを推理することは不可能じゃない。第3のゲームの連鎖密室はなかなか器用にやったもんだと拍手さえしたくなる。
第4のゲームラストの私は誰
？10月5日24時に必ず場所を問わずに殺せる犯人。その時点である種の仮定は可能だ。それこそ黄金鏡のもう一つのお宝ってわけだ。
The other treasure of the Golden Land.
へえ、第4のゲームまでに、すなわちあなたはベアとのゲームだけで全ての答えに至れたと。
可能だ。その後のラムダデルタのゲームとバトラのゲームは
Well, it feels
それを
like
さらに補足するヒントの塊だ。
he's like the mouthpiece for the author being like, oh yeah, and that's what people have been telling me too. Like, if you really put the work into it, you really think about it, all the clues are given to you by the fourth game, and then like the past couple of games are just kind of giving you a little bit of a push, a little bit more clues. But I mean, I'm dumb. I'm all for having more clues given to me, and I still feel like I don't quite. I feel like I'm definitely getting more of an idea of what's going on, but I feel like I haven't quite connected all the dots yet.
このお前のゲームさえもな。
それではそろそろはぐらかすのは終わりにして、
Will
教
he?
えてちょうだい。
Will he?
犯人は誰？
I bet you he won't say it. At that moment, though there hadn't been anyone but them in the chapel, quiet footsteps rang out. That silhouetted figure slowly walked up to Will and Bernkastel and gave a small bow.
来たか。
Ooh, who?
呼んだの？
ああ、フーダニット、
Who done it?
ハウダニット、
Okay.
そしてホワイダニット。こいつの動機を理解した。
あんた動機が分かられただけでもう降参しちゃうの？
Oh, the culprit's here.
具体的な証拠はないんでしょ？赤とか青とかでガンガンと派手に押収すればいいのに。
こいつはもうそんなことは望んでない。
The person nodded slightly. Okay, we're seeing it from first person, so we're not gonna get the answer quite yet. Their wish was for someone to realize. Now that this has happened, they had no intention of engaging in trivial excuses or pointless word games.
俺はお前の動機を、心を理解したつもりでいる。
So that's all Beta wanted. Who am I? Why are they doing this? They just wanted someone to understand what they were, like, why they were doing this, what they were trying to do. I've been saying deep down they've wanted somebody to stop them. Like, they didn't want to do this. They felt like they had to for some reason.
それをこれから話す。お前を呼んだのは、
Okay.
それを聞き、 間違いがあったらお前の言葉で正してほしいからだ。
The two of them nodded to each other once more.
お前の4つのゲームでお前のメッセージを受け取り、そしてマスターの違う3つのゲームで俺はお前をどんな不思議な運命がもてあそんだか想像し、言葉を失った。お前はそれを誰にも明かさずに全てのゲームで死ぬ。
Having you confess in this empty chapel might be pointless. However, even so, I believe it will bring you some measure of salvation. People are only saved when someone understands them. It's time someone forgave this pitiable witch, who went years after her death without being understood, and whose life ended before the one man she wanted to understand her could do so. So that was Badler, obviously. At the end of the 5th game, Badler finally understood. However, it took him so long that he didn't make it in time. So even though she is alive here and now, Badler cannot save her. That's why he is absent from Beatrice's funeral. He won't come. He won't make it in time.
これはベアトリーチェの葬儀だ。お前が告解し、神なるマスターが聞き、俺が許す。
Okay, wow. All right, so I'm wondering then, so this is the second last chapter. If we're going to be getting the culprit confessing right here and now, what's the point of the last chapter?
その役目はバトラがふさわしいが、奴は間に合わなかった。だから俺で諦めろ。
あれだけベアとはヒントを出したのにね。ラムダもバカバトラのためにあれだけのヒントを与えたわ。それに対するバトラ自身の懺悔のようなゲームも笑えた。でも私は何も笑わせないわ。ただ淡々とあんたの葬儀を執り行うだけよ。
お前は喋るな。話しているのは俺だ。いいなら始めよう。誰もせかさない。お前の葬儀が終わるまでベルンカステルは永遠に時間を閉ざしている。心の整理に必要な時間は無限にある。
The shadowy figure slowly shook its head. It had come here because it was already ready. Will nodded to show he understood. Then the two of them looked into Bernkastel's eyes, and Will spoke out clearly.
こいつが犯人だ。
All right, well, that was a little bit shorter of an episode than I meant to do, but the way that it ended there, I felt like that's a good place for me to stop it, because, I mean, if we're going to get into the backstory of who the culprit is, then I wanted to have it be its own separate episode. But, wow, it looks like we're actually going to get even more answers this, after so much, like, I don't know, after the game, like, speaking in riddles and code and being kind of vague, it's nice to actually get, like, actual answers, like, concrete answers, and it seems like we are going to get possibly all the answers, the who done it, the how done it, the why done it, and I am super excited to see what that will entail. And, yeah, the whole thing about, like, the Leon, you know, revelation, quite shocking, to say the least. It just gets darker and darker, this Ushurimiya history with Kinzo. But yeah, I'm really excited to get some more answers about the culprit. Like, it seems crazy that it feels like I just started this chapter and already this is happening. So I'm hyped. Hopefully you guys are too. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned next week for part 77. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Kiori Makoto, Revealing Storm, Jared Fan, Tequila Mockingbird, Izzy Ibo, Joel Ostman, Asborn Kennedy, Harry Gazif, Icognito, Locus Carolus, and Wusing Chrysalis.